Am I the asshole for not letting my wife name our baby after her deceased coworker? I cannot believe I have to resort to bringing my grievances to Reddit, but as a longtime Redditor and someone who keeps getting insults hurled at them, I really need to know if I'm the crazy one. My 30M wife, 30F, is pregnant with our first child. We recently found out that we're having a little baby boy. A few weeks ago we decided to write down all the boy names we like, make a priority list, and then let the names simmer for a couple of weeks before we make any judgment calls. Now, I know the names my wife likes. If I'm being completely honest, they are usually very southern and attempting to be modern. Think the name Kaysen or Braxton. Both names were on the list. However, at the top of her list and one with a high priority was the name Scott. Now, no hate to the name Scott, just very out of left field for her. She told me how much she loved it and how it meant a lot to her, and when I questioned her on it she didn't really say much more. I actually loved the name Scott, so we kept it number 1, and it was also at the top of my simmer list, as we had been calling it. Well, yesterday we ended the our simmer period and both decided on the name Scott Kanan. Both names were number 1 on our lists and we were over the moon. As we were going to bed I asked how she thought of the name Scott, and she admitted to me that now that I set it in stone, that she felt more comfortable telling me. There was an older man she apparently worked with, who I had never heard of before, that she really loved named Scott. She said he was 66 and gave her a lot of life advice and guidance, but died last year due to being immunocompromised. After she said this to me I became completely uncomfortable. I don't want our baby named after a dead coworker of hers I've never met. I asked if she asked his family if it was okay, and she said she's never met his family and doesn't think it's necessary. The whole thing is just so bizarre to me considering I've never heard of this guy before. She mentioned the passing of a coworker last year and I knew she was sad, but she never said much more than that. Long story short, I told her we're not naming our baby Scott because I don't feel comfortable with it. She immediately got mad at me and it turned into a big argument. I had her mom and sisters call me today saying I liked the name before but that I was being a jerk over some old dude, and my wife won't even talk to me now. I like, even love, the name Scott. I don't like naming our baby my wife's dead coworker I don't know. Am I the asshole? Edit. Just for clarification, I would not mind keeping the name Scott, and I have communicated this to my wife, if she would tell me about him so I know who we're naming our child after. She won't tell me anything past that he was a mentor to her, no other details. As well, I was mainly upset because I felt like I was tricked into the name because she withheld obvious intent with its meaning. I would have probably been a lot less confused or weirded out if she would have just explained that before. But since she will not talk to me about Scott and is essentially stonewalling me until I give in, I feel as if I may not be the asshole here. I will take my judgments as they come, but there's more of my side of the story. Edit 2. Sorry for the edits, I just want to clarify the permission from the family thing. She wants to actively make posts linking to his Facebook about our child's growth and development. I feel like it was a little weird to do without asking his family if they're comfortable with that, especially since they've never met. That's why I thought she knew his family, because she was telling me the hashtag she created for it and everything. I realize I may be in the minority here, but I say not the asshole. Frankly, I think it's telling she didn't share the meaning or importance to her until you settled on the name. It seems like she knew you wouldn't be okay with it and that's why she didn't tell you until you'd accepted it. That is not okay. Since it sounds to me like if you'd had that information from the beginning that you wouldn't have settled on it, that exonerates you, in my mind. She, on the other hand, lied. You directly asked her where it came from and she didn't tell you. She is the asshole here, in my opinion. Going against the grain here, not the asshole. First, forget the coworker for a second. This child is both of yours. If one of you feels uncomfortable with the name, then it should be resolved. Period. Secondly, she literally didn't tell you until later because she knew you may not like it. That's a super shitty thing to do. I don't think it's a big deal to name your child after her late coworker, but that's not what this is about. You're uncomfortable with the name, which is valid, and she lied to you. Are people here forgetting that? I think you both should resolve this. This child is both of yours. I physically cringed at the part where she's tagging his Facebook but doesn't even know his family. Yikes. Also not the asshole. Not the asshole. Sorry, but that was dishonest of your wife to wait until you were good with the name Scott and then spring on you the real reason. Why wouldn't she be comfortable telling you ahead of time? Why would she not be forthcoming about a nice older gentleman she looked up to? Maybe Op needs to ask around a few coworkers. Very strange. Holy hell, the comments in here so far make me feel like I'm taking crazy pills. People are really assuming a whole lot about Op without reading his comments. Absolutely not the asshole, and wife's behavior is bizarre. Op clearly isn't accusing her of fucking this guy or whatever, and neither am I. But refusing to share info about their future son's potential namesake with her husband is weird. And Reddit for some reason expects him to just be fine with that? Also, the part about having a hashtag to post to his Facebook and whatever strikes me as really weird and inappropriate. Just, yuck. Not the asshole. You have every right to be upset. You asked and she sidestepped the answer and waited for you to like the name to tell you the reason. I would calmly tell her that you don't feel comfortable with that and ask how she would feel if it was the other way round. I can tell you now she'd be in the same mood as you. Also, if she not willing to give you any information on the gentleman, that sound like a little fishy. As for people in the comments. This Op first child, of course he want to know a bit behind the man his wife want to honor by naming their baby after. For the people saying he only thinking about his feelings and not his wife's, she is also doing the same. Okay, the second edit changed my mind. Not the asshole. She's getting weird with this. Not the asshole. I'm a woman and I work with all men and I've had a couple who were close mentors, but I'd never consider naming my kid after them. That's weird. I'd find it equally weird if the genders were reversed. Am I the asshole for not wanting my disabled sister at my wedding? The title sounds awful, but please read all the way till the end. Do not speed read this. My 22 female sister, Anna 21, is special need. She has severe autism, and while she is verbal, most of her communication is physical, like sign language due to her social discomfort. She does speak around family though and has pretty bad cognitive skills. She can't comprehend boundaries and lives with our parents so they can best watch her. I am getting married in 3 months. We planned a simple wedding and reception at my fiancé, Michael's, parents' barn and farm. Since it's all gonna be DIY and we aren't planning anything too expensive, we can do things pretty quickly since flowers, food and decor will be provided by his family. I sent out invites last week and I asked that Anna not come. I told my parents I understood that would mean they may not show up, but it was just a heads up. Why no Anna? She has an issue with touching Michael and trying to kiss him. At times when we were at my parents' house, Anna would try and grab Michael's hands, try to lean in to kiss him, or would have a really bad shutdowns if she wasn't allowed to be directly next to him. We've tried speaking to her, but there's only so much we can do when she doesn't really understand. I told my parents I just want one day for Michael to be my partner and not Anna's comfort person. They called me selfish and asked how I expected them to agree to something like this. They told me Anna is disabled and may never experience a wedding of her own, and while I have Michael for probably the rest of our lives, she'll have no one, and that Michael and I can be a little more understanding to the reality of her life. I feel like a total ass, and what they're saying has really gotten to me and I'm starting to question my decision. Am I the asshole? Update. My parents called me letting me know they won't be coming and that it's best I don't bring Michael around anymore since I've chosen some man over my sister. They told me that Anna wanting to kiss Michael and hug him is normal for a woman her age and that she doesn't understand what her feelings mean. I suggested they try to redirect her during the wedding, but they said Michael is gonna be family to her and he needs to get over it. I suggested they watch the wedding via web and they said that's not fair and that they deserve to see things in person. I asked if I could pay for someone with proper credentials to watch her that day while they attention, and they asked what I would do when they died and if I'd pawn her off every time. I dropped the unfortunate truth bomb that I don't want to put any more of my life aside for Anna anymore. I did it up until I turned 18. And that Anna is not my life's responsibility and I won't be her keeper. I assured them I'd pay for her care, but if she's okay doing this to Michael, then I worry for if I ever do choose to have children and what she'd do to them. They said I was sick for suggesting she'd do anything to my future children and hung up on me. They sent a lengthy text telling me not to contact them until I could do the right thing. So THTS where we are right now. Please read. This is not an excuse to talk badly about disabled peoples, nor is this an opportunity to air out your hatred for them. My sister is not a scapegoat to hate disabled people. She is a human being with feelings, she is not a statistic, she is not evil. Please stop treating my sister as if she's a malicious monster. This debacle is between me and my parents. Leave her out of it, please. I am begging you, I don't want to hear why you think my sister sucks. Not the asshole. I don't care if I get downvoted. You're right, she is incapable of leaving your fiancé alone on the only day she needs to leave him alone. Best wishes to you and your future husband. ETA. Since this blew up, let me clarify. She needs to leave him alone every day, and that is solely the responsibility of the parents to teach those boundaries, not op or fiancé. Not the asshole. Your partner deserves to not be sexually harassed every day, but especially on his wedding day. It doesn't matter if she doesn't understand, she still can't do it. If your family won't prevent her from doing things, then she isn't allowed in those situations. Not the asshole. Neither is poor Anna. It's your parents. They told on themselves, because it sounds like they expect you to share your spouse with her to make her life more fair, somehow. It really sounds like they've been secretly encouraging and supporting this behavior. The most charitable thing I can come up with is maybe they've deluded themselves into thinking anything to avoid a meltdown. But that way lies madness. Not the asshole. It would be unfair and unkind to Michael to force him to endure that on his wedding day. Make it clear to your parents that you're not looking for agreement. Anna is not invited, period. Not the asshole. Regardless of her disabilities, this day isn't about her. If your parents can't understand why she isn't invited, then they can sit it out too. Not the asshole. It's your wedding and your sister doesn't have boundaries with the one person they need her to have boundaries with. They told me Anna is disabled and may never experience a wedding of her own. So? Life isn't fair, and that doesn't mean you have to sacrifice what is likely yet another thing for Anna. This is your day and there's no reasonable accommodation except maybe stream the wedding for Anna to watch via a screen given Anna's boundary problems. Not the asshole. Your fiancé deserves to feel safe and comfortable at his own wedding, instead of being worried about being accosted by your sister. Have you spoken to your parents about their long-term care plans for Anna? I would make sure they're not planning for her to move in with you and Michael, and to make sure she gets the appropriate time to be transitioned to her new situation. I was about to YT you into the ground, but sue not the asshole. If the genders were reversed, there is no way anyone would expect someone's partner to be okay with being, well, sexually harassed. She may not know exactly what she's doing, but it is sexual, physical harassment, and that's not okay. Not the asshole, and your parents need to find a therapeutic way to establish knowledge of physical boundaries, especially since she obviously does not carry this way with everyone she meets. She understands on some level. Am I the asshole for being bitter about my parents' purchases? Last spring, I, 18F, had received all of my college admission details and was preparing to make a decision. However, I was never able to have an honest conversation with my parents about our college budget, as they always danced around the question, "We'll pay whatever it's worth." I ended up applying to a lot of private schools, not T20s or even T50s, although I have a strong application profile with high GPA and test scores, but didn't get full rides to any of them. I got pretty decent scholarships, but not enough to cover the full cost of everything. For my top college, a price tag of $40,000 a year still remained. My parents told me that was too much money, which I completely understand. When I offered to take out loans to help cover the cost, they told me that they would absolutely not let me take out any loans whatsoever, and no matter what college I went to, they'd want to pay the cost out of pocket. I really don't want to sound selfish or spoiled here. I am so thankful they want to pay for my college education. I ended up taking a gap year for the chance to reapply to colleges next year, and all was well between me and my parents. Then over the summer, my parents started renovating the house. It was small at first, redoing the floors in the downstairs bedroom, putting a new door in, tearing up the carpet in my old room. Then it just kept building. At this point, we have redone all of the windows, all the floors upstairs, an entire room, and my parents are currently contracting for their bathroom to be entirely gutted and redone. 3 men I don't even know have been in my house redoing the bathroom every day from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday for the past month. They each get paid $50 an hour to do their job. All of this has cost at least $30,000, and that's just been the costs my mom has openly told me about. That doesn't even cover the price they had to pay for all of the new appliances and pieces they bought in addition, which I estimate to be around $10,000. I wouldn't even care about any of that, I'm well aware that it's their money. But when we finally discussed college finances again, they gave me a budget of $15,000 a year, and they're still not letting me take out loans to cover any remaining costs. I've been working my ass off between 3 jobs, for a total of 60 hours a week, and filling out as many scholarship applications as possible just to have a chance at attending my dream school, which I'd have to get the maximum scholarships for in order to fit within my parents' budget. All the while, more and more projects are being taken on my parents. The next thing they want to do is redo the stairs for $7,000. I wouldn't have an issue with any of this if they just let me take out loans, which I would gladly be 10,000% responsible for. So Reddit, am I the asshole for being bitter about where they're putting their money? Edit. The general consensus here is for me to stop being a baby and take out the loans whether my parents support me or not, which is honestly what I needed. Thank you everyone for telling me to stop sulking about it all and just do what I need to do. EDIT2. The answers to this post have gone completely off the rails. I am not going to spend $40,000 a year on college. I put that number to show why I didn't go last year. That's a ludicrous price for after scholarships. Everyone has a completely different idea of what my situation is, and I'm really starting to regret asking this subreddit anything. Info. Sue, why don't you just go to the bank and take out the loans yourself? You're 18 and an adult. If anything, put a loan and move out and don't rely on them for any money. You really need to talk to older people who went to their dream school and took out loans to do so. You do not want to wake up 10 years from now and realize you could have received the exact same education at a state university for a quarter the cost and have the same job, same pay, but be debt-free. Why on earth would you take on debt, $100,000 worth, just to go to your dream school? The debt you carry will remind you of the mistake for decades. Info. Why do you have to have your parents' permission to take out the student loan? Info. What's the reasoning they won't let you take out loans, which thousands of other students do when going to college? Their money, they can use it on their house. But fuck that noise about prohibiting you from taking out loans. Info. You are an adult, you don't need your parents' permission to take loans out. So why not just get the loans? You are the asshole. You are an adult, you can go take out loans, you don't need your parents' permission. It's their money. Say thank you for the $15,000 they are offering a year and figure out the rest. To be honest, the majority of people who take out loans, even at private schools, regret it. You don't want to do that to yourself if you don't have to. Go to a cheaper college for the first 1-2 years and then transfer to the school you want. Or apply to public state schools. The debt isn't worth it nowadays. Go to events, network and join clubs and get internships and you'll be set. I vote Esh. Am I the asshole for refusing to fill the shoeboxes for disadvantaged children? It sounds bad, hear me out though. I should also add, I apologize for formatting and typos. I'm on my phone. First-time poster. My husband has a habit of signing me up for stuff at church, meal prep for people, greeting people in the morning, snack sign up, etc. I work full-time, do most of the housework, do the bulk of stuff for our kids, manage our finances, and the list goes on and on. I also buy the majority of gifts, almost all, for our kids and both sides of the family. I am also taking classes and recently began my Ph.D. program. I am stretched thin. The past few years we agreed to fill shoeboxes for kids in other countries. This year when boxes were passed out I opted not to because the last 2 years I almost missed the deadline and had to scramble at the last minute. It takes me a while to buy for each box because I want to jam as much as possible in them and choose things I think they will like. I search for dolls, games and toys that are popular on their culture. I also include a translated letter and pictures of us. This year I was going to opt out. I made this clear and explained why to my husband. He agreed to be in charge of the boxes. Fine. We leave at noon tomorrow to go out of town. The boxes are still empty. I just reminded him that he needed to fill the boxes before we leave. He said they are just as much my responsibility as his. I said no. I am not filling them. I opted out. I still need to pack both kids for the trip as well as myself. I also need to finish up a bit of coursework. He is pissed and said the kids shouldn't suffer. I agree. But I didn't promise to fill the boxes and I am not about to half-ass filling them. His promise. His responsibility. He's now huffing and puffing and is angry because he has to go to the store. We live in a small town, so to go to a Walmart or Target is 30–45 minutes drive one way. I help out a lot and am striving to set boundaries and say no, but these are kids so I might be too long. Did not read. Husband promised to fill Christmas boxes for kids in another country. I am swamped and can't fill them but they are due this weekend. Husband is angry he has to hold up his end of the promise without my help. Kids are in the mix, so am I the asshole for not making time? ETA. Thank you all for the kind words and encouragement. Thank you for helping me realize I am not the asshole here. I can't get to all the comments, too much time. But I'm posting here to address the most common comments. To those who said set boundaries, that is exactly what I am doing, or, well, tried to do by declining and placing the onus back on him. To those saying I am going to snap, yes. I am back on anti-anxiety meds and back with a therapist who is helping me articulate and stick to boundaries. We did talk prior to me taking on the doctoral program and he promised to help more. Clearly it isn't happening. Another discussion a come to Jesus talk is in order. I can't sustain the level 1 am at. It can't be done without major negative consequences. For those who mentioned the environmental impact of the boxes, thank you. I was unaware of this and will look into a direct charity. Save time, effort and hopefully make a more meaningful contribution to those who need it. Not the asshole. Just tell your husband that if wants to pretend to be Mother Teresa he needs to put the effort himself. Not the asshole, and actually those boxes are notorious for just creating waste to the places they're sent because their contents aren't meaningful to the children's circumstance or needs. Donate the money to a charity that's providing actual aid like medical supplies or food with the money you would use for the box. Boom, problem solved. Not the asshole. Operation Christmas Child can be stressful. Our family fills 4 boxes every year. Each person is in charge of their own. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done. He agreed to do all of the boxes by himself, so it's on him. He is pissed and said the kids shouldn't suffer. I agree. He's absolutely right, so he needs to do a good job on the boxes. Not the asshole. Never make promises that other people are expected to make good on. Not cool of him at all. Not the asshole. First of all, it's annoying when others volunteer you for something without talking to you first. Second, these clothing charities do more harm than good in underdeveloped countries. You think you're helping by providing free shoes and cloth, but what you're actually doing is destroying their economy. With so many free cloths and shoes, it bankrupts the local textile industries while also hurting local shops as they can't compete against free stuff. You are not the asshole for not wanting to volunteer for a charity that does more harm than good. I work full-time, do most of the housework, do the bulk of stuff for our kids, manage our finances, and the list goes on and on. I also buy the majority of gifts, almost all, for our kids and both sides of the family. I am also taking classes and recently began my Ph.D. program. And your husband is huffing and puffing because he has to drive 45 minutes to the store. I think I would have gone nuclear. Marriage is a partnership, and it looks like yours is definitely lopsided. You guys need to have a serious conversation about boundaries and division of labor. That is nuts. Not the asshole. Big time. It does sound bad, but nowhere near for the reasons you're thinking. Not the asshole obviously, but ma'am, you've spent how many years allowing your husband to wear a hole in your doormat back? This is the hill you've finally chosen to die on. As opposed to the everything else you've got going on in this post alone. You're going to snap eventually, and your husband needs to get in gear on sharing this load as an equal partner should. Sit his ass on the couch, lay the law down, and quick before you give yourself an aneurysm from being a single mother to your kids and your husband. Good Christ. Not the asshole. Your husband is the asshole though. Yeah, just add another thing for my wife to do because she doesn't do enough? He agreed to take care of it and now he pushes it on you to save the day. Weary. I would not feel guilty for his laziness.